Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We're so excited you're here to help us celebrate this fantastic event with our 6 so deserving honorees. I don't mean to tamp down the conversation at all. My request for you is you please make your way to the table so that you can sit down, and then we'll get our brunch going because we respect your time. Rumor has it there's some game that, is happening later today that you might want to get back to and watch. So please, sit, take a seat, and then we'll start the brunch, okay? Thank you.
Welcome to the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Wisconsin Gold and Silver Circle Honors Ceremony.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, John. Good morning, everyone. I am so delighted that you're all here. We'll get to brunch in just a couple of minutes. Today is one of my favorite days of the year because we get to take time to celebrate excellence in the business that we love, with the people that we love, at a place that I love. Big days deserve big moments, and I thought I had one for you. I worked for months with agents and managers and paperwork and fast flights from Tokyo to get you an extraordinary opening act. But alas, she can't make it now. Something about going to watch her boyfriend play in the Super Bowl. But I do have the next best thing. Please welcome one of my personal heroes, Marquette Provost and former Dean of the Dietrich College of Communication, Kimo Ayun.
So, yeah, not Taylor Swift exactly, but nonetheless good. And when I saw the conflict with possible Super Bowl, I want you to know I personally jinxed the Packers, so you would not have any problems here. You know, this is wonderful. A couple of years ago, Mark came to me and said, you know, this would be really good to bring these awards to Marquette's campus. And it has been a true blessing to be able to bring you here. Last year I had the opportunity to speak, and I'm really hopeful that next year we're also sitting here together as well. And one of the things I talk about Marquette University, and I think about what you do in the work, our mission statement calls us to transform our students, but also to make the world a better place. What are we doing each and every day to make the world a better place? And when you do your job well, we are allowed to inform people, and we make the world a better place. And that's just incredible, and I love that intersection of what you do and what Marquette University does. This week, we had Mission Week. It's really big for our university, and the theme was to love and serve in everything. to love and serve in everything, something that we can get around. And we had a lot of activities, but one of the things that I really think about is journalism, that we were able to show the James Foley story. And if you have not seen that already, I would really encourage you to take the time to do it because it's inspiring. But even more important to that, Diane Foley, a tremendous friend of Marquette University, and a gift. If you do not know Diane, who's sitting up here in red, clearly no one told her red is Wisconsin's colors, and we don't do that here, but we're going to give her a pass today. If you have not met her, she is an inspiring, and she will want you to be a better person, so make sure you take the time to do that. And thank you for being here, Diane, and all that you do. And then lastly, I would say is, our university, we want to shape women and in the area of broadcast and journalism. We have our graduates of the Dietrich Communication, as well as all of our wire students who take care of student media on campus. That's one of the ways we transform. And I would say is, while I love all of you, there are a special group that I love even more, and that's in my heart, and that are alums. And I apologize for those that I'm going to miss, but I want to at least just call out some of the Marquette alums to be able to talk about the types of things that they are doing. You're going to get to hear from Nick Bohr, who is one of our recipients today. Marianne Lazarski, who is also here. Renee Raffelli. Tim Vetcher. I don't know if Tim might be hungover from yesterday. He was at National Marquette Day. Tim, you're not here? Definitely hungover. Stephanie Miller. James Causey. And lastly, Neil Janert. Thanks again for all you do. I look forward to seeing you next year.
Thank you, Kimo. You would be hard-pressed to find a bigger supporter of student media and student television than Kimo. Over my career, I've had the privilege of working with exceptional colleagues like Kimo and like many of you in this room. And one that I was blessed to work with at Marquette is the coolest Jesuit, Father Grant Geringer. Father Grant is a brethren. In addition to his spiritual duties at Marquette, he teaches television production, theater, and digital media in the Dietrich College of Communication. And Father Grant's here to give us a little blessing. Father Grant.
Good morning. Let's just calm our heads and our hearts, our bodies, and realize that we are in the presence of God. God of all time and all places, of all people and nations. God who spoke to all humanity in the life of Jesus. We pray today for those who speak and communicate by the media. We give thanks for all who report, evaluate, interview, challenge, and investigate on our behalf. For correspondents, photographers, technicians, and engineers. Especially this year, we remember those who travel into areas of conflict and danger on our behalf, and those who, in bringing us news, have been killed. We give thanks for their bravery and professionalism. We pray that the information which they relay to us will increase our understanding. That understanding will increase our compassion. And that compassion will move us to action, so that the God of all time and all peoples may be seen and known in every human situation, and will speak humanity into ever closer community and unity. In a special way, we pray for John Drilling and Mark Zelich today. We pray in thanksgiving for their lives their work, and their friendship. Help us, Lord, to perform all our work with mindfulness and attention, with care and devotion, that it will be holy and healing for us and all the earth. Amen.
Thank you, Father Grant. Well, it is time to eat. I want to make sure, though, that you also know that this is a great match, this venue and our event, because MUTV, the student television station, is live broadcasting this and live streaming it. And we have mentors. Jim Wilson's working with the handheld camera, and Dwight Moss is working with the student director. And Trin Burgess, student, is the broadcast live remote coordinator. So thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing the recording, since we're all here and won't be able to watch it live. Wait staff will let you know when it's your time, your table, when it's time to head to the buffet. As you wait your turn, get out those text machines and let them know that we're being live streamed. ChicagoMEOnline.org. That's all one word, ChicagoMEOnline.org. Enjoy your brunch. We will be back at noon straight up. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, go Packers. If you'd all take your seats, you can see the countdown clock. We're starting in 45 seconds. Thank you so much.
The Chicago Midwest chapter of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences welcomes you to the Wisconsin Gold and Silver Circle Honors Ceremony. We're about to celebrate those who have made significant contributions to Wisconsin television in front of the camera and behind the scenes. Here's a sneak peek at our honorees. Silver Circle honorees include Green Bay icon Tom Zalaski of WFRV. He's anchored more than 70,000 newscasts over his 45 years and is dedicated to veterans' causes and improving the community. Dave Machuda has been working his editing magic at WITI for 30 years. His masterful touch has won 50 regional Emmys, 3 national Murrows, a DuPont Columbia Award, and a Peabody. A journalist to the core, Nick Bohr has been WISN's lead reporter on big stories for 30 years. From breaking news to investigations, Bohr's relentless pursuit of the facts has made him one of the most respected reporters in Milwaukee. Editor-director Susan Valvic is a 33-year veteran at WTMJ. Never rattled and calm under pressure, her steady hand holds the station together in times of chaos. Over his 41-year career, WMTV's John Stoflet has reported from all 7 continents, flying through hurricanes, diving with sharks, and even jumping off the 72nd floor of a building. He's a 25-time Emmy winner and active in Madison civic and charitable organizations. In a Wisconsin first, the Academy is bestowing a Gold Circle. For 55 years, Everett Marshburn has believed in the power of public television to tell stories that otherwise wouldn't be told. Marshburn is currently the producer of Black Nouveau, a magazine format news program by and for the African American community. Now it's time to honor the best of the best. Please welcome the president of the Chicago Midwest chapter, John Shipman.
Good afternoon, everyone. Obviously, this is a great event, and there's some really great people being honored. I want to first recognize some people who really put a lot of work into this event. And Mark Zaromsky, another round of applause for you, please. I can't tell you what fully goes into it. All I know is that he has been running around and praying for the Packers to lose, and we were all, me being a Chicago guy, I'm okay with that. But no, it worked out well, and this is great to see such a great turnout for this event. Also wanted to recognize Rebecca Cowling. She's our executive director. She couldn't be here today, but she's also put in a lot of work on this event. Excuse me. These events are really important to the Chicago Midwest chapter. We have so much going on throughout the year. We invite everyone to get involved with the many workshops that we have, along with the annual Emmy Awards in November, and most importantly, becoming a member of the chapter. So please take a look inside your program later today to find out how to become more involved. We're really excited for today's honorees. You recognize their names because they've dedicated over 25 years or more to the television and media industry and have made remarkable contributions to local broadcasting. Now, when planning an event like this,
You look for someone who is qualified to MC and introduce all of our honorees, and we have definitely found one. She's a 2012 Silver Circle inductee and was inducted into the Wisconsin Broadcasters Hall of Fame in 2022. She has more than 35 years in the Milwaukee television market and has been recognized with a George Foster Peabody Award, an Edward R. Murrow Award, and a Chicago Midwest Emmy Award, just to name a few. So it is my pleasure to introduce your MC for today's events. Please welcome Joyce Garbaziak.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone. It is my distinct pleasure to be here with you and to help honor so many deserving people. I love this event because often in television news, we don't get enough time to devote to a story, except for our PBS station. You know. Seriously, for instance, when a bill is signed into a law, we're not going to tell you the provisions of the whole law. Or on primary election night, we might not tell you how all of the candidates fare on that full screen. We'll just give you the top two. So I once heard that if the story of the 10 Commandments happened today, here's how you'd hear about it on the evening news. Good evening. God gave Moses 10 commandments today. Here are the top 3. But not today. Today we get to give some deserving people their due. Our honorees have among them 235 years of service to our industry. Their roles are producer, reporter, anchor, editor. But most of all, they are revered for their work ethic and the mark they've left in their newsrooms and in their communities. The Silver Circle, as we've mentioned, is a kind of lifetime achievement honor, recognizing people who've dedicated 25 years or more to the broadcast industry and who've made a significant impact in that time. The Wisconsin Silver Circle has been inducting members every year since 2008, with 3 years off for COVID. But this year, a first, and we've referenced it already. We have never had a Gold Circle inductee until today. Yep, 50 years on the job. And I know everyone was applauding when we saw a little bit of Everett there, but I don't know if you heard this part. He is still on the job. He's still doing it. We're going to meet this history maker in just a few moments, but for now, it's time to acknowledge the existing Wisconsin Silver Circle members who are here today. So could you please stand when I call your name, and audience members, please hold your applause until all members here have been acknowledged. Jimmy Angeli, Kent Aschenbrenner, Denise Calloway, Liddy Collins, Sean Downs, Carrie Edwards, Jill Geisler, James Hoyt, Ivan Lazarevich, Marianne Lazarski, Dwight Moss, and Dwight is back there helping our students as they produce this special, Ted Perry, Renee Raffelli, Gary Rystad, and Gary's up in the booth helping make this production happen as well, Rick Rietbrock, Glenn Riley, Myra Sanchik, Mike Strelo, Jan Wade, Kent Wainscott, Joanne Williams, Jim Wilson, and Jim is mentoring our handheld camera operator. Jim's right over there. Mark Zaromsky, and me, proud member of the class of 2012. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so time to learn more about this class of 2024. We're going to start with our history maker, our first ever Wisconsin Gold Circle inductee. Everett Marshburn began his career in 1968, working 38 years at public television in Maryland. Now, fortunately for us, he moved to Milwaukee in 2006 to take on the role of lead producer of Black Nouveau for Milwaukee Public Television. And since joining MPTV, he has also produced a variety of specials. His colleagues say among the things they appreciate the most about you, Everett, is how your work spurs people to think more deeply. Let's hear it right from them in this video about our first ever Gold Circle inductee, Everett Marshburn.
Honoring Everett Marshburn, it's well-deserved, and it's a great idea. In fact, we thought it was such a great idea. In 2013, he was one of the first to be inducted into the Alumni Honor Wall.
On behalf of Milwaukee PBS, our entire staff would like to congratulate you on this award and more than 50 years of service in public media.
Everett Marshburn is the consummate public affairs television producer. He not only understands the issues that affect most people's lives, he understands in detail how those issues affect their lives. And then he approaches people and his audiences on a very personal level. And that's what I admire about him the most.
Everett has a deep appreciation to tell the stories of our community, his community. And as the producer of Black Nouveau, he likes to tell the stories that celebrate the history, the culture, and the achievements, but also the challenges of the African American community in Milwaukee.
He knows production, he's an excellent writer, and he knows how to craft a story.
He always knows how to improve a story, improve a question, how to make you think even deeper about something.
Just his love of history, his love of contextualizing things, it really adds a different perspective when he's telling stories.
He is willing to think outside of the traditional box as to what a story is or how a story should be conceived and executed. I think that was best illustrated when he did the piece on the anniversary of the March on Washington. Most people want to talk about King and the great speeches. He looked at the issue of jobs and justice and what it took to put all of that together.
He was a multidisciplinary guy. He wasn't just a TV guy. He knew about literature, he knew about theater, he knew about New York musicals. He loved the musical scenes, he loved the cinema.
Everett Marshburn gave me my first job in public television. He led by example. He taught me how to work hard, how to tell a great story, and that all of our efforts was in service to the community.
I came into broadcast pretty green, but he saw something in me, and he constantly has made me better by instilling in me, James, you got this. James, you're getting better. James, maintain your confidence.
He's always respectful and encouraging of me finding my own voice as a storyteller.
Do me a favor, keep doing what you're doing, my friend, because there are too many folks in this industry who need that kind of guidance.
Now, 50 years later, Everett is still serving the community and telling powerful stories. Congratulations, Everett, on your induction to the Gold Circle.
You're a jewel, Everett. Thank you for everything you've done to tell important stories and to mentor our future storytellers.
Congratulations, Everett, on this Gold Circle honor, and here's to your first 50 years in television.
From everybody at MPT, congratulations, well deserved.
Congratulations isn't even the beginning of how I feel about this honor for a good friend, a great colleague, and somebody who I admire and respect.
Congratulations, you famous person, because you're always so humble.
Congratulations, my friend.
Congratulations to you, Everett, for your belief in public media and storytelling for the last 50+ years.
Man, we love you, and this is a great honor, and embrace it.
Congratulations, Everett. You are so deserving of this major award. This is such an exciting milestone that we've all been able to witness. Whether you're telling stories of your beloved hometown, Baltimore, or you're telling stories here in my beloved hometown, Milwaukee, it's been such a pleasure being able to witness just some of the best stories in the business. We love you, and we are so happy for you.
Please welcome 2024 Gold Circle inductee, Everett Marshburn.
Good afternoon. 2 months ago, when I found out about this honor, my biggest worry was what happens if the Packers and the Ravens are at each other's throats today. Fortunately, I guess that didn't happen. So This is a proud and a humbling moment for me. Proud because of what it signifies, humbling because the truth is I didn't get here by myself. None of us who stand up here tonight got here by ourselves. We had a group of people, professionals, family, a lot of folks who had faith in us and belief in us and who trusted us to do the jobs that we do. I didn't choose public television, it chose me. In 1968, I was a junior at Morgan State College, which was not yet a university, historically black school, and I was looking for a summer job. And one of my history professors knew the first head of the film department at Maryland Public Television, and that's how long ago we were. We were still shooting film. Videotape had not been invented yet. They called me in, and I thought about it. I had been very interested in drama, and African Americans in cinema, and of course in my community. 1968 was the Kerner Commission report, and I am a Kerner Commission journalist. I took the job. I finished school later. I do have a degree from Morgan State University in history. I started at something called the Maryland Center for Public Broadcasting. That went on the air in 1969. With lofty ambitions, we had an urban affairs department which was producing a lot of shows. I shot film for one of them, became an associate producer and host there. Everything I learned about the business, for the most part, in those early years, I learned there. Station was kind enough to let me fail as well as succeed, which is not something that happens a lot today. People don't get those opportunities that often. I'm very grateful for that. I spent 38 years there, did a lot of programs. I'd like to tell you about a couple. In 1988, I went to an NABJ convention in St. Louis. They had their first HIV/AIDS panel because AIDS was affecting the African American community like nobody knew, and people didn't want to know. There were 7 people on the panel and 3 people in the audience. The word that came out of that meeting that I attended was that the time for diagnosis to death of a person with AIDS, and in 1988 it was a death sentence, for a person who was not of color was 2 years. For a person of color, it was 6 months. We set out to tell a story. What's the difference? What was going on that was different? One of the things we found out was that there were a lot of people on the ground in the community who were fighting to tell these stories, to get people to understand what was going on. AIDS is not the problem today that it was, but the stigma that was attached to AIDS and people and gay people is still with us. That's something that we have to work on. One of the people we were finally able to interview also helped me understand more about what I do and why it's important, because we shot in a number of cities. I wanted to shoot in Washington, D.C. There was a gentleman there by the name of Larry Ellis who worked for a group called LifeLink, and I called him and asked him if he would grant us an interview, and he said no. And I asked him why not, because when he said no, he didn't hang up on me, which suggested to me that there was something else going on and I needed to find out what it was. And what it was that he'd already given an interview to some national news program, and all they wanted to know from him was, how did you catch the disease? Well, that wasn't the story we wanted to tell. And I promised Larry that was not the story we wanted to tell. He set 2 conditions. One, he wanted a full copy of the interview so that his mother could have it after he transitioned, which we did. And 2, he wanted to make sure, he wanted to meet me to know what I thought about what was important in this. And after the discussion, Larry agreed to do the interview. Other Faces of AIDS was important for a variety of reasons. One is that in 1990 at the NABJ convention, the program was up for an award, and we were in the same category as Black Nouveau. I did not know about Black Nouveau, but I met the producer of Black Nouveau at that time, Joe Savage. Joe Savage, Liddy Collins, who's with us, and Sharon Patterson were the people who created that show at Milwaukee PBS in 1987. I met Joe, we became friends. So I knew about Black Nouveau in 1990. And in 2002, When the NABJ came here for a convention, I had a chance to meet and get involved with the media community here. I was part of the project that works with the students. We actually did a TV show, and we had a meeting in April with the heads of the news departments around the state. And we've been doing this since, 1991. We were always begging for stuff, for help from people. We needed editors, we needed shooters, we needed mentors. When I got here for the meeting, the gentleman from Channel 4 says, "What do you need?" Which was really something totally different. All of the stations contributed, and I left that event thinking very highly of Milwaukee and very highly of the media community here. So in 2006, when Sharon Patterson left Black Nouveau, and I noticed the job up, I said, well, this is something I need to do. I applied for the job hoping that they wouldn't think that my age at 58 was too old, and fortunately it wasn't. I got the job, and I'm still there. I think the stories we tell are important. I'm glad to work in public television because it affords me more time than I get in many other places. But that's not just what's important. What really is important is that we let people tell their stories. I find too often many journalists want to go in thinking they know the story, so they only ask the questions that they think carry out their idea of the story. That's really not what interviewing is about. I know when I first became a reporter, a host, my boss gave me a book on the craft of interviewing. One of the things it said was you have to make your subject comfortable. You have to let them know that they can trust you. You also have to let them know that you want their story from them, not your version of the story. And I've tried to do that throughout my career. The last question I always ask when I'm interviewing someone is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about? And in a number of cases, I've had people say yes. And that's led me to other areas where we've had good discussions and a lot of content. We still have a long way to go, but I'm standing here to tell you I'm very proud, very humble to be a broadcaster. And thank you very much for this award.
What a wonderful way to start our program. Don't you agree? Yes. Our next honoree is someone I have the distinct pleasure of working with at WISN 12 in Milwaukee. Nick Bohr started in radio news and by chance made the switch to TV in 1994. And I know I speak for all of my colleagues here today when I say we are so glad you made that switch. When Nick covers a story, you know it is going to be thorough and fair and well told. He is the one you can count on to turn whatever story he's been assigned in a creative way. He always knows a guy. He has sources. Words used to describe him this week by his colleagues include reliable, witty, tenacious, admirable, stickler, legendary, and amazing. So time to learn more from WISN 12's Patrick Palantonio about 2024 Wisconsin Silver Circle honoree, Nick Bohr. And when this happens to Nick, he knows how to vamp so that we can get it going right where we need to.
They have blocked off 124th Street here because of a down power line.
Before he stepped in front of the camera,
When you're on top of the mountain like the Packers are, of course, everybody wants to knock you off.
Nick Bohr
Well, I never wanted to do this, really.
Sat behind a microphone.
I wanted to do radio. That's how I started out.
It is 12 noon. I'm Nick Bohr with Key News.
Once I got in this building, though, after my first job out of college, we were on the radio side at ISN Radio back then. The opportunity was there, and I just sort of went with it.
What was that transition like from radio to television?
I thought it would be no big deal, but I really got thrown into it because I was just supposed to help out on the desk here when I started, just very part-time while I was doing radio. And my very first day, I was on the desk for like an hour, and I got sent out on a story. And they said, can you go monitor this? It was the Oswald case.
The Oswald case was a major story. A bank robbery, an officer killed, and then a shootout in Waukesha County.
And there was a court proceeding. They asked me if I thought I could do a live shot because they didn't have anyone else to send. And I was like, sure, why not? I'm not gonna say no. I got back to the newsroom and the news director at the time said, I think next week when you come in, let's just have you report.
That first report started an award-winning career at WISN TV.
The early Sunday morning quiet was shattered by more than a dozen gunshots.
That's closing in on 30 years.
It's all been refrigerated since the dairy suddenly closed on Saturday. The milk rescue was a case where I just felt like if someone knew about this, this wouldn't be happening. 12 News learned milk inside remained refrigerated, but there were no plans to release it, tied up in bankruptcy court. The thought of all that milk going to waste was too much for Hunger Task Force's executive director, Sherry Tussler. She started cutting the red tape, finally getting inside the dairy Tuesday morning to find a bounty, but one with a shelf life. The effort to get it to the needy is already underway. It was rare for them to have that kind of a donation, but it felt pretty good to see all that stuff go out rather than just going to waste. So that was pretty neat. Very dangerous situation. Initial reports, again, an active shooter at Miller Brewing.
If it's a big story, Nick is on it. The Stephen Avery case. How did you end up in his kitchen?
Well, he got out of prison because he was wrongly convicted of a crime, and he got out that day. And we happened to be at his house. Have a regular day, huh? Yeah. We had no idea the attention of the case that would become internationally known years later.
At times, the story is overseas.
We were talking to Wisconsin people in Germany that were in the military that had been coming back from Iraq that were injured in the war. At that time, we learned that Pope John Paul II had become critically ill, and it looked as if he was going to die. And the decision was made to send us from Germany to Rome. So we had to end up driving through the night on the Autobahn in Germany to drive to Frankfurt, and then hopped on a plane, landed in Rome, and I'm pretty sure we were on the air within a couple of hours.
12 News reporter Nick Bohr is the only local TV reporter in Italy.
We rounded up different Wisconsin priests that were there that we were able to talk to, and it was a crazy few days. Reporting live in Rome, Nick Bohr, WISN 12 News. I thought everything turned out well. The Pope survived, but it was exciting and quite a learning experience.
For those of you with internet connections, you can follow the progress virtually step by step.
I just think it's different every day. You never know what you're gonna get.
Obviously, it's a lot of fun to be chased by the police and not to get arrested.
While there's certainly an element of fun in chasing one of the fastest drivers in the world, the officers say the lessons learned are invaluable. It's a combined diving and mermaid show in a one-of-a-kind pool. For most bowlers, throwing one strike would be cause for celebration. Adam threw 24 in a row. You're often learning something new every day, and I think that's exciting, and just the same thing that got me into it when I was a little kid, thinking about telling people stories. There's still an excitement in doing that, and so that's why I'm still at it now. That's it from Green Bay, in Appleton, in Pewaukee, in Brookfield, at the state capitol, in Glendale, reporting from Miller Park, at Milwaukee Police Headquarters, at the Federal Courthouse in Madison, in Douglas County, at Fiserv Forum. Nick Bohr, WISN 12 News.
Please welcome 2024 Silver Circle inductee, Nick Bohr.
For that picture to find a good side. Well, thank you, Jason, Hunter, Renee, Raphael, and Patrick Palantonio for that video. That's the first time I've seen it. I really appreciate all the work you did trying to find something where I looked halfway decent. I'd like to thank the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. I'm honored to be in this class of such talented people and to have so many past honorees here with us today as well. I want to thank my coworkers who have become friends and are really family for me now. I hope you all know how much you mean to me. Most importantly, my actual family here, my wonderful wife Sue, our kids Ryan and Sophie, my mother-in-law Phyllis. My mom passed away last year. My parents are both gone, so it's nice to have you here. It's important. My family have been so understanding of this job. It is difficult. All of you in this business know what that's like. It's difficult to leave the work at work. Your work is all around you. It never stops. It's the reason we got into this, right? It's what's going on. But it can be hard to find the right balance. So thank you to my family for understanding and the support, because I know it's not been easy. Thank you to Jan Wade and Matt Sin and all the news directors and general managers I've worked with over the years. And Renee, who's been my manager since the beginning, nearly all of it, when you weren't at WBBM for a few misguided years. A quick testament to WISN and the Hearst Corporation. By 2017, I'd been at 12 for 23 years, and I was still only fourth in reporter seniority, behind Mike Anderson, Ken Wayne Scott, and Colleen Henry. People stay for a reason. My journey here did start at Marquette, leading to WISN Radio, owned by Hearst back then, and they gave me the opportunity to transition to television. I had a lot of learning to do, marrying the images to the words. That was a big difference. I owe that to the photographers I worked with then. Some of them are here today. Some of them I'm still working with today, which is pretty great. One tip I got a lot of mileage out of from the beginning was Mike Hyder. One of my first stories, I was covering a drought. He told me to pick up a clump of dirt in my hand and crumble it as I did my stand-up. He said, they love that stuff. Well, he didn't say stuff, but, you know. I learned early on expectations and interesting situations I'd be in. When the rural Karnak family vanished, except for their oldest son, my news director at the time, Ron Petrovich, said, "You're probably right. That guy killed his whole family. Now go talk to him. See if he'll talk." That was a door knock I never forgot. He did talk to me, and he is serving a life sentence. I relish waking up and not knowing what's in store for me. I've learned so much over the years: how to survive fighting a house fire in 70 below wind chills, how vaccines work, how to sail a 19th century schooner, how to steal a car with a USB cable. Every day is an education. Of course, it's gratifying, too, to challenge authority to do better, whether it's a politician or a landlord, to ask the questions the viewer would want to ask, whether it's a woman last month who defrauded honor flight veterans, or the former Nazi concentration camp guard 20 years ago who agreed to let me interview him at his dining room table before he was deported to Austria. It's such a strange job, too, where your personal life is sometimes public. Viewers can get a little personal, like the viewer who kept wanting me to tell him where I get my hairpiece styled. It is real. When Sue was in labor at St. Joe's with Ryan and Sophie, Kathy Michaelby kept calling the delivery room, wanting to make sure she could get it on the 10 o'clock news that night, and we loved her for it. TV news, though, is a team effort, from the planning meetings to the interviews, how we shoot it and write it, the script approvals, the editing, the engineers, producers, and web staff who get it on the air and out to the audience. It is a team work. I've talked to thousands of victims and their families at the worst times of their lives. All the trauma we witnessed firsthand is not easy. I never could have done it without the love of family and my friends at 12, and a healthy dose of humor in sometimes the darkest moments. Someone who was so good at bringing that to light was a man I had the privilege to work with for 20 years, Mike Anderson. I still have his last text from a few weeks before he died. He'd been retired a couple of years. It was the day of the Miller Coors mass shooting. Saman and I were just blocks away when it happened, so the cops were coming at us from everywhere. Active shooter. It felt dangerous, and I won't lie, I was scared. We didn't know what was happening, but you put that aside. We ended up doing like 5 hours of continuous coverage that day outside in February. Mike knew how hard it must have been physically and emotionally, and at the end of the day, he texted me, "Just wanted to tell you your coverage was superb. Your experience really shined through. I'm glad you're still working." Smiley face emoji. Mike would say the key was talking to the viewer as a friend, and the photographers could tell you when he'd get to the end of the day, he'd say, "Well, we fooled him again." It was his humble way of saying that we kept our head above water and didn't let the pressure take us down. Made it look easy. I always felt it was his way of saying we had it pretty good doing this for a living. People trust us to tell their stories. We honor that trust by telling it the best way we can in their own words. To all of you here, you honor me by your presence today, and I hope I've made a positive impact. God willing, I'll keep learning and improving for years to come. Thank you.
Please welcome President and founder of the James W. Foley Legacy Foundation, Diane Foley.
Thank you. I'm so very honored to be here with all you talented journalists. How Jim loved Milwaukee, loved the Midwest. And I want to applaud all of you dedicated honorees. And thank you for so courageously investigating the truth and sharing it with all of us. The James W. Foley Legacy Foundation is passionate about keeping you safe while you do your essential work. And I actually invite all of you to use any of the free journalist safety education that our Tom Durkin helped put together and has been integrated in the Marquette journalism program. All of them are free for anyone to use with your colleagues in your newsroom. And please encourage fellow journalists to always keep as safe as they can and be aware of how to do that the best they can. And thanks to Mark, actually, we have a little ad in your program. So you can just go to the James Foley website, and it's right there, free for anyone to use. Our son Jim once said that without moral courage, we would not have journalism. So I sincerely thank all of you for continuing that brave legacy. Thanks so very much.
Thank you, Diane, for all you do to keep your son's mission front and center. We are grateful for you and for James. Our next honoree is WFRV anchor Tom Zalaski from Green Bay. Tom, yes, applaud away. Tom is a household name in northeastern Wisconsin, having anchored in Green Bay since 1978. He's done it all. Breaking news, political talk shows, parades, the Packers in the Super Bowl, and he is a literal broadcast legend, having won that distinction last year from the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association. His colleagues describe him as the quintessential anchorman and a treasure. And here's more of what they have to say about 2024 Silver Circle honoree Tom Zalaski.
Your stories, our community. This is Local 5 News with Tom Zalaski.
Plenty to do this Father's Day weekend. We'll take a look at some of the area's events. Good evening. It was a day filled with tears.
And cheers for the members of the 1157th Transportation Company.
He is the epitome of an anchorman. His whole life. I mean, you can't even think of Z without thinking of his pinstripe suits. You cannot think of him without thinking that.
Tom Zalaski is the ultimate professional. He not only looks the part, with his slick suits, he plays the part, from interviewing the governor to hosting a parade to emceeing a biker rally. He does a great job, whatever he does.
The very first 4th of July broadcast that we did, people were stuck behind the bridge. So all of these people that we had scheduled to come do interviews with us, they were not coming. No one was coming to save us. It was Tom and I ad-libbing for hours on end. Also, the former Green Bay mayor helped us a lot. We interviewed him for what felt like a half hour to 45 minutes. So that was one of those occasions that was like, it could have been disastrous, but we really clung to each other and got through that cleanly.
When I first met Tom, I was a baby reporter coming into the market, and he just seemed bigger than life. He was the main anchor, and he was always somebody you could go to and ask questions, and he would always try and help you.
I think he's a musician at heart. He loves rock and roll music. Every day when he comes in, he quizzes me, gives me a song title, and I have to come up with the band that performed that song. So it's always fun. He knows everything about rock and roll. He does live on a farm just outside of Green Bay. And I think if it was 1969, he probably would host Woodstock Music Festival. He's that into that music.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Tom Zalaski, along with my broadcast partner, Aaron Davison. And what a night we've got planned for you.
My favorite memories of anchoring with you, Tom, are the times we were away from the desk. We were doing live shots. We were doing, we were on the city deck in Green Bay all day long for the 4th of July doing coverage. We were in Appleton for the Christmas parade. We were in Appleton for the Flag Day parade. All of the locations we were together for hours on end, and most of the scripting was coming from our own heads. And those were the times that I really relied on you, Tom, because you were such a master ad-libber, and I was a little bit more nervous in those situations. So you were a really calming effect for me, and I felt I had someone that I could really depend on to really get us through that broadcast really cleanly and nicely.
We are very lucky that you have been a part of this community for so long and helped so many people in this community that you're a treasure.
Tom, I just want to tell you congratulations. I couldn't be prouder and happier for you to get this award, because you truly deserve it. You've had an extraordinary career, have met some extraordinary people, and I've been fortunate to have been part of that journey. So thank you and enjoy.
Thanks for reporting life in Northeast Wisconsin for the past 43 years. Congratulations, Tom, from all of us here at Local 5.
Please welcome 2024 Silver Circle inductee, Tom Zalaski.
Thanks, everybody. And yes, I did wear the pinstripe suit today, just because there's such references made to that all the time. Chapter, thank you so very, very much for this honor. I also want to say a big, big thank you to my family, because I had no idea they were going to be here today. I was about to have breakfast, and all of a sudden from behind me, somebody hugged me. And there was my son and my 2 grandkids. Yes. And a big thank you to all of my colleagues at WFRV TV. We have here past management, current management, my former co-anchor, my current co-anchor, our assignment manager, retirees. They've all come here to be with me today, and I'm so grateful to all of you. You came from Green Bay on Super Bowl Sunday. Oh my goodness. So thank you all so much. Those of us who are still working, we've got to go back to Green Bay. We've got to anchor Super Bowl shows tonight. You know, award or no award, you're working. The retirees, I mean, I know why you're here. This is a nice step up from Golden Corral, isn't it? I was at my desk October the 2nd in my newsroom, and my cell phone rang, and it was a phone number that I didn't recognize, area code I didn't recognize, and I picked it up. Hi, this is Tom. And on the other end, here's a guy who says, hi, Tom, this is Mark Zaromsky, and I'm going to congratulate you on being inducted into the Silver Circle. Well, of course, with not knowing the area code or the phone number, I'm like, I didn't hear Mark, I didn't hear Silver Circle. I just thought to myself, oh, great, what did I win? You know, a cruise, a timeshare, what do you got for me, pal? But the more he talked, he sounded like he knew what he was talking about. And then the name Mark Zaromsky hit me. I went, wait a minute, he used to work in Green Bay. I know this guy. This guy's legit. I think I really am being inducted into the Silver Circle. Oh my God. Well, Mark, first, for all, and people have thanked you, but boy, thank you so much for everything that you've done to make this thing happen today. He's been in contact with all of us. Get your videos in, get your bios in, get this in, get that in. You were on us, and we're so grateful for it, and what a great event today, and a wonderful breakfast, wonderful ceremony. You just have done so much for us. We just thank you, Mark, so much. The other date I'm not going to forget is Sunday, the 12th of November, when Mark sent the video of the actual announcement of the 6 of us who were being inducted. And I popped it up on my cell phone, and here I am with my grandkids, and I looked at it, and I got choked up. It just hit me like, wow, this is for real. Cheryl Stutsky was there in Chicago, said my name. Later on that day, in a more composed state, I wanted to watch the video again, just to see who else was being inducted along with me. And that's when I became frightened to death at the thought of having to be here today. Because when I looked at that list, and here it came down to Dave, Susan, Nick, John, Everett, these people have Murrows and Emmys and Peabodys and DuPonts, and I've got nothing. My awards came in much different ways. My awards came, they were very personal. They came in the form of thank yous from people that I've helped along the way. I have hosted and coordinated benefits for people suffering from cancer, dying from cancer. And I didn't do it as a knight in shining armor. I didn't do it for television ratings. I didn't do it for publicity. I did it as someone who lost his 41-year-old wife to cancer and who was left behind to raise a 13-year-old son. So I knew what those families were going through, and that was why I did it. I get my awards from, as you saw on the video, emceeing veterans events. And what amazes me about these veterans events, when I do them, the vets come up to me from Afghanistan, World War II, Korea, and they thank me. They say, thank you for all you do for us veterans. And I look at them like, you're not serious. You know, you fought. You got shot at. Somebody tried to kill you. And you're thanking me for what I do for you? And I said, no, that's just the other way around. It should never be that way. I also want to thank the chapter and all of you for recognizing me. Not for the Silver Circle Award. I mean for recognizing me. You folks have no idea over the years how many times I am mistaken for Wayne Larrivee. True, just 3 weeks ago, I'm at the grocery store parking lot. A guy jumps out of his car, runs toward me, shakes my hand. Oh, Wayne, you are my NFL Sunday voice. And then I had to break the bad news to him that I'm not Wayne. And he had that look of disappointment on his face because he really thought that he met somebody special. And I got back into my car and I sat there and I went, there is your dagger. When they were younger, the two grandkids who are here with me today, they also confused me with someone else. They know that Grandpa knows a lot of people, and a lot of people know Grandpa, but they don't know why, or they didn't know why at the time, what they thought when we would go grocery shopping and we would go down the spaghetti aisle, the pasta aisle, they would see the jars of Paul Newman spaghetti sauce. And you know, Paul's got, you know, the white hair, the helmet head. They go, that's Grandpa's spaghetti sauce. So that's why Grandpa is well known, because he's got his own brand of spaghetti sauce. Through everybody here, to the chapter, to family, to friends, everyone, I know that everybody who comes up on this lectern today feels the same way. We are humbled. We do not feel as though we deserve to be here. But I can also tell you, this is so cool. This is great, and I love this. What a great, great party this is. I thank you for giving this to me. God bless all of you. Thank you so much.
Up next, Susan Valvic, an editor at WTMJ here in Milwaukee. Let's hear it for Susan. Susan is revered in her newsroom for the journalist that she is, serving as the final copy editor when she does the essential job in our profession of marrying words with pictures. She's known for being calm under pressure and not afraid to make suggestions to make stories better. And in case you haven't had time to read it in her bio yet in the program, this is the Susan statement that won me over. Quote, I thank the universe for the invention of time code. Amen to that. Here is WTMJ's Steve Shamraz with more on class of 2024 Wisconsin Silver Circle inductee, Susan Valvic.
Deep in our archives, there is a box that marks the day Susan Valvic first walked into WTMJ TV. October 15th, 1990, a time of 3/4-inch tapes, live trucks, and daily mad scrambles.
We physically had to run a tape from the edit bay down a hallway through security doors to get into the control room in time to roll and put it in.
The 5 basic edit bays were cuts only. I mean, all the stories, everything was just simple cuts back and forth, and you're constantly popping tapes in and out of the decks.
You had incoming feeds, you had roll, you had control track. It was chaos.
In all that chaos, there was a respite. Edit 5, the closet-sized room where Susan cut tape and calmed nervous reporters, all while making deadline.
You would have to call back into the edit bay, and I'd get Susan, and I would be on deadline and in a panic. And Susan is so calm and so sweet.
Susan has a very calming influence. Nothing really rattles her too much.
There was a calmness about her, even though things may have been chaotic around her.
I don't think I've ever seen her lose her cool, ever.
Susan's cool is matched only by how much she cares. The hands of an editor matched with the mind of a journalist. The first one to offer advice on how to make something good a little bit better. The last line of defense to catch a mistake before it hits air.
I think that's what comes across with Susan in particular, is just how much she cares about this place, this television station, her peers, this community. She cares.
Because the first few packages I shot, I was like panning and trying to do all this fancy movement. She's like, just calm down for a second, take a second, and get those static shots, and it helps the editors out, and it made me a better photographer.
I can't tell you how many times she would flag, like, this soundbite doesn't seem to fit, or this soundbite might be a bit out of context, or this video with the track leaves a different impression. She saved us so many times through the journalism that she brought to her job.
I don't know if it's her approach or just her way of giving feedback. It just always made me want to be better and impress her. So she probably didn't know this, but I was always trying to impress her.
For all she has done, for all the stories she helped tell, for all the candy she has fed us. Thank you, Susan, and congratulations for joining the Silver Circle.
I don't even know how you can say thank you enough. She's saved me more times than I can count.
Susan, thank you for always just being a helpful soul and somebody I can count on. Someone who kind of pushed me indirectly to be the best me and just leading by example. I think it helped me become a better editor and a better journalist.
Thank you so much for your friendship. Thank you so much for your mentorship. It's meant the world to me, and it's made me the employee and photographer and person that I am today.
Your positive attitude, your commitment to good work, but also just being the good person you are. Your presence, your calmness, your laugh makes a difference in the TMJ4 newsroom. Congratulations.
Mostly, I want to thank her for being such a kind and nice person, and that's priceless.
Please welcome 2024 Silver Circle inductee, Susan Valvic.
Hello, everyone. My natural habitat is a dark edit room, so this is pretty scary. First of all, I would like to thank everyone involved in making the video. It was amazing and humbling. Thank you. So how did I get here? I was born and I grew up in a communist country. What they called news there was just government propaganda. Literally, anchors and reporters reading what the government told them to say. We didn't watch the news much. When I was 12, we moved to the United States. All of a sudden, the news meant something. It meant journalists disseminating information that was the truth. They questioned officials and the government. Even though we didn't speak English well in the beginning, we watched the news all the time. I have a candid photo of me that my mom took shortly after we came to the United States. It's me goofing off in the family room, and the TV is on behind me. And on the screen is Tom Brokaw's face. Truthful information through journalism was extremely important to us. Looking back on that time, I'm not surprised that that's the field I chose for my career. So, how did I end up at Channel 4? I came to be at TMJ4 because I measured a man's inseam on his pants. Let me explain. One of my part-time jobs during college was selling men's suits at J. Riggins at Mayfair Mall. One day, a man came in to buy a couple of suits. He had an amazing voice. We picked out a couple suits, several shirts and ties to go with them. Like everyone who sells men's suits, I measured his inseam for alterations. When he was paying, because I was curious about his voice, I asked him what he did for a living. He said he was a reporter at Channel 4. I said, hey, I'm studying journalism at UWM. He gave me his card and said to call him if I ever wanted to tour the station. His name was Tim Blatz. I called him a couple of months later. He remembered me, and we set up a time for a tour. That day, I walked into the old newsroom, saw the orange carpeting with cigarette burns all over it, and I thought, that's the place I want to be. Tim introduced me to everyone, including Mike Stutz. Mike talked to me and told me they had one more internship spot left and asked if I wanted it. I said, yes, I think so. I couldn't believe it. After my internship ended, I was hired as a part-time editor, and after I graduated, as a full-time editor. Along the way, I also directed shows. The station sent me to 2 Super Bowls, a few political conventions, and 2 other places we were covering, both locally and around the country. I have loved being in journalism and working at Channel 4. First for the Milwaukee Journal and now for Scripps. I do have to say that I wish as an industry we had made more of the difference between media and journalism. These days it seems anyone with a phone can call themselves media. We are journalists. The training, the diligence, the care we take to be impartial, it matters. Even today, even more today perhaps than when the 12-year-old girl is watching Tom Brokaw and getting to know this Western way of life. I would like to thank the Academy for the Silver Circle Award. It is an honor I never expected, but I'm incredibly honored to accept. Thank you to Channel 4 for being my professional home for all of my adult life. Thank you to our management team, including Tim, Greg, Nicole, and Jim for being here and for steering the ship. Thank you to my many, many coworkers over the years. I've learned from each and every one of you. A special thank you to my present editing team, many of whom are very young and seem to have been born knowing and mastering every new technology that comes along. It's irritating, but very helpful. Now to my family. I am so grateful to my ancestors from whose hard work we are still benefiting to this day. I'm grateful for our parents who gave up so much to give us a chance at a better life. Thank you to my brother George, who has been so supportive of me since our dad died. Thank you to George, Barb, Martha, and Patrick for having the best six kids ever, my nieces and nephews. Alex, Max, Axel, Zach, Ellie, and Vivian, I love you so much. You guys are the sunshine in my heart. And thank you all for coming today. I will leave you with what I often say to my nephews and nieces. Be happy, healthy, and safe. Thank you.
Please welcome the Student Executive Director of the Marquette Wire, Hope Moses.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hope Moses. I'm the Executive Director of the Marquette Wire, which is Marquette's student media organization here on campus. I would first like to say that I'm honored to be here in a room full of talented and amazing storytellers like yourselves. And I would first like to thank the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences for their partnership with us and the amazing opportunity to live broadcast this event. I think that opportunity will change the trajectory of our careers, so thank you for that. And I would also like to thank Mark Zaromsky for keeping this partnership alive and all you've done to make this event happen today. Lastly, I would like to thank the MUTV and Marquette staff members and volunteers that woke up at 5:30 a.m. today to get everything set up. So if you see them on your way out, just say thank you. I'm sure they would appreciate the gratitude. So yeah, again, thank you for having me. Congrats to all the honorees, and this is super amazing and awesome, so thank you.
Thank you, Hope, and I want to reiterate the thanks to all of our student volunteers who are working with us today. You're doing an amazing job. Our next honoree is WITI editor Dave Machuda. Yeah, let's hear it for Dave. I've had the pleasure of working with Dave back in the day when he started at WITI in 1994, and even back then, all of us thought, who is this guy? He's really good. And he's only gotten better. Dave is meticulous when choosing which video to use. His colleagues say his creativity with the construction of graphics is next level. And his personality shines through in all of his interactions. All of this will become abundantly clear when you see this video, by the way, including his distinctive ability to call it like it is with a word sure to get your attention. See what I mean in this video from Fox 6's Ted Perry as he introduces us to 2024 Silver Circle inductee Dave Machuda.
At the end of a long hallway at the Fox 6 studios, there's a room. Barely 56 square feet, decorated like a freshman dorm, poorly ventilated, dimly lit, windowless. In fact, it's a perfect spot if you want to grow mushrooms. But put Dave Machuda in there, and it becomes an artist studio.
I think he's one of one. I mean, I don't think there's anybody like him.
Dave Machuda is not a household name, but neither was George Martin, the genius producer who took Lennon and McCartney songs and turned them into Beatles masterpieces. He is our George Martin.
Did George Martin say, "What the f*** a lot"? He's the genius behind a lot of what you see, with no credit for it.
Well, he's just that good. I think he sprinkles a little bit of magic into the work.
And like a good magician, no one's really sure how he does it. His bag full of tricks include capturing the moments that thrill us, to creating visual representations of themes and ideas that, frankly, aren't all that visual.
A good chef can make the most of their ingredients. A great chef can open up the refrigerator, see there's nothing there, and whip up something that totally surprises you. And that's Machuda.
He's my guy for everything. If I need the hard edit, it's Dave. If I need the big edit, it's Dave.
He can even turn back time, as he showed viewers in this Contact 6 piece about maintaining Milwaukee's extensive alleyways.
Like, he always maximizes whatever he touches, whether it was 3/4 inch, whether it was this machine, when we went non-linear. If you watch his pieces now, I mean, he takes programs that nobody else runs the way that they do, and he just makes magic.
But if you think of Dave Machuda as solely a creative master of technology, you're ignoring his greatest contribution. He is as fine a journalist as this station has ever produced.
He's one of the most talented journalists we have here, and his fingerprints are on so many stories we've done, and in lots of ways people don't realize.
He just tells a story in a way few others can.
I think like the picture I drew him looked like this, and we got this incredible graphic that showed exactly what happens here and what happens there, and here's the checklist of what you need, and he did that from this.
And even when video does exist, it's never enough for Dave to just plug it in.
There's a video and a document, and you could have seen the video full screen, and then you could have seen the document full screen and maybe a little highlight or something. He puts them in 3 dimensions on a tabletop that doesn't even exist. It's the detail. He adds in the reflections and gives it sort of this texture and dimension.
It's a talent, we admit, we take for granted. We'd love to tell you Dave does all this with an avuncular patience and a Disney-safe vocabulary, but our job here is to tell the truth.
Tons of shit to shoot outside.
Yeah, you'll hear some colorful language coming out of there, and sometimes you hope it's not directed at you.
Oh, man, swear as much as possible back here.
But he can swear with the best of them.
Well, yeah.
You gotta.
Yeah.
Where the is it?
We asked Dave if he'd like to be interviewed for this piece, and were met with a middle finger. We took that as a no. But he's only occasionally cranky because he cares. Deeply cares.
I just hope he knows how talented he is and valued he is by all of us.
And in a business where everyone's replaceable is the unofficial industry motto, he might just be the lone exception.
And he's been a great co-worker, he's a great dad, he's been a great friend to me, he's always been somebody I can talk to, count on, listen to. this place is just better for having him here. It's just that simple.
Simple or not, we know this much. We are so much better for having Dave Machuda on our team. And that's something we'd swear by.
In my life, I've loved them all.
Please welcome 2024 Silver Circle inductee Dave Machuda.
That's why I'm over here for now. Oops. Thanks to the Fox 6 crew for that really nice video, and especially to Ted for writing it. It was almost too nice. I was expecting something with a lot of alliteration, maybe a nat sound pop after every other word, heart wipes and dissolves on every edit. But it was really nice. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks to Brandis and Glenn for springing for a table so all those FISBOs could come. And thanks to the Emmy folks for this honor. I started at Fox 6 back in the mid-90s when Channel 6 was switching from CBS to Fox, and they were expanding the newsroom, and they hired 3 new show editors, and all 3 of us started on the same day. And on that first day, they took us back to the editing area. And we get back there, and on the floor in white masking tape is the outline of a body. And we looked at each other, we looked at the outline, and we asked them, what's the deal with this? And they just said, last night was a rough night. And I just thought, what have I gotten myself into? And that's a thought that has come back to me a lot over the years at Fox 6. Like when Brian Polson hands me a script and I try to tell how long it's going to be based on the weight of the printed pages. Oof, what have I gotten myself into? Or how about when Brian Graham says, good news and bad news. The good news is we get to do a Packers pregame show before the playoff game this weekend, and I want you to cut the open. The bad news is we can't use any football video. That's right, Packers special open with no football video. What have I gotten myself into? Or when they wanted me to cut a music video of beautiful fall colors shot by our helicopter. Remember those, when we could all afford helicopters? I was supposed to edit it to the song Eagles Fly by Sammy Hagar. No, that's not gonna happen. What have I gotten myself into? This is a recent one. Carl Deffenbaugh comes back from Greece with this great Giannis story. One little caveat, he shot the whole thing on his cell phone. Lord, what have I gotten myself into? Turns out what I got myself into was a chance to work with super talented people every day. As much as I like to complain, and God knows I like to complain, about what have I gotten myself into moments, a lot of them turned into really great pieces, like Carl's Giannis piece. That turned out really well because the cell phone video was actually really good and because Carl wrote a great script. The fall color tour pieces were a lot of fun to edit once I got to pick the music. That cold open for a Packers game without any football video turned into one of my favorite edits of all time. And all those Polson pieces with the 3-pound scripts, they're all excellent. They're all excellent because Brian is a great reporter. And that's what being an editor is all about. Working with folks who are really good at their jobs. I'd like to specifically thank 3 of those people, without whom I probably wouldn't be here today. First up is Brian Graham. We worked together on the Sunday Blitz pregame show, and it was a blast. That show was sort of a combination or a mashup of NFL films, MTV, and Too Much Mountain Dew. We were a great team. Brian would come up with crazy ideas like, how about if we use a Barry Manilow song for this week's Open? And I would execute it. And somehow it worked. And we won a few Emmys along the way. Next person I'd like to thank is Jill Geisler. Jill was our news director when Brian and I were doing the Blitz, and she realized that a single parent working second shift trying to raise 2 kids was not going to work long term. So she invented the position of special projects editor for me and turned it into a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job. I wouldn't be here doing this if it hadn't been for Jill making that move back then. And of course I need to thank Brian Polson, because there's no reporter I've worked more closely with over the last 20 years than Brian. He's simply a fantastic writer and reporter, and more important for an editor, he's organized. I can't imagine tackling a story with 50 documents, 20 folders with 300 gigabytes worth of raw material without Brian keeping track of it. If any other reporter attempted something like that, there'd be an actual chalk outline of a body outside my edit bay. I owe a huge thank you to all the reporters and photographers that I've worked with over the years. I've had the great honor of editing videos shot by excellent photographers like Jim Wilson, Andy Conkle, Jerry Immig, Suzanne Barthel, Cale Zimney, and Mickey Leach. I got to edit investigations from folks like Brian, Megan Dwyer, Amanda St. Hilaire, Contact 6 packages from Jenna Sachs, and of course, Ted's wonderful Perry's People stories. All of those pieces are only award-worthy because of their great writing and reporting. There's only so much an editor can do without good video and a good story. And before I run out of time, I'd like to finish with a quote that I stole from George Carlin and tweaked a little bit. No, not for that reason. You wouldn't know it, given some of the things I've said over the years, but I like reporters. I do. But I like them in short bursts. Once you get up around a minute, minute and a half, that's enough. Thank you.
Please welcome Chicago Midwest Natus board member and chair of the Wisconsin Honors Committee, Mark Zaromsky.
Hello again. My job here is to stretch this out so that John Stoflet can continue to get nervous. He's the last guy up. It's working? Oh, good. The Chicago Natus chapter takes great pride in fostering future generations of television professionals. We also take pride in the fact that we are one of the strongest chapters in the nation in funding and awarding scholarships. Since the mid-1990s, our charitable arm, the Natus Chicago Foundation, has awarded more than $650,000 to college and high school students. We offer up to $36,000 per year, so I'm here to ask you for money. Please consider donating to our scholarship fund. You can find information on our website, chicagomeonline.org. There's also information on what I believe is page 19 of our program booklet. And I also just had an idea. We could fund an entire scholarship if TV6 would put a swear jar in Dave Machuda's edit bay. So let's get on that. That would be awesome. Finally, it's not too early to nominate a deserving candidate for next year's Silver Circle. You can find information and nomination materials on our website. Our nominating deadline will be July 1st. Thanks.
Okay, John, now that we've gotten you good and nervous, here we go. Rounding out the class of 2024 is John Stoflet, who retired last year from the anchor desk at WMTV in Madison. John started his career at WKOW in 1983, then returning to Madison in 2005 to anchor and report for WMTV. Throughout his career, John's love of features and his adventurous spirit took him on assignment to some 40 countries on all 7 continents. WMTV's Lee Mills shares the story of 2024 Wisconsin Silver Circle inductee, John Stoflet.
Since 1983.
Good morning, everyone. The Canadian government says it's going to start issuing weekly acid rain bulletins. The idea, officials say, is to increase public awareness of the problem in Canada and put pressure on the Reagan administration to help solve it.
John Stoflet has been telling stories in the Madison area and beyond.
Report on that new PG-13 rating just added by the Movie Ratings Board. Stand back!
His first few years at WKOW.
And there it is, another great moment in journalism, live from Warner Park. Come on out and have some Jell-O, folks.
Feature reporting
I knew I had to be ready.
has always been John's forte.
Victor had the upper paw from the start.
He's also not of the faint of heart.
It's expected to be a very busy summer for rescue crews on Mount Rainier. I just crave being able to go places most people don't get to go to.
Traveling around the world.
From the hills to the rivers to the skies. You never know what they're going to do next.
For National Geographic. John traveled on assignment to more than 30 countries and all 7 continents.
I was pretty impressed with this storm out here today. Let me tell you what's so incredible about this experience. These penguins come up for a close-up look at us. You just stand here and you're literally surrounded by them. It is simply amazing. I'm John Stoflet, and this is Log Home Living.
John also reported for HGTV.
Where do you go? Well, you lace
and worked for King 5 in Seattle.
We're in 3 countries today.
Where his reporting took him
We're in India at the Taj Mahal for
to
lunch.
the ends of the earth.
At the end of the day, we're in the tropical paradise of the Seychelles Islands.
But there's no place like home.
Good evening, I'm John Stoflet.
And I'm Lee Mills.
And John returned home to NBC 15 in 2005.
Terror suspects were being held in a secret CIA...
Anchoring our evening newscasts for almost 2 decades.
Probably heard a home explosion in Fitchburg. NBC 15 is your Olympics station.
But he also had fun along the way.
Oh, boy. Holy crap, I'm not turning. Oh, come on. Woo! Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah!
I appreciate your risking your life.
John also reported on our unsung heroes.
65 years later, Julius Bellin still remembers the men on his list who didn't come home. And he'll always be thankful he did.
Life has been good to me.
Hi, Betty. And those making a difference.
Hi, Robert. Stay warm. Barack Obama takes Wisconsin.
He led our election coverage through historic moments.
The economy has recovered since the Great Recession, but middle-class people have lost income. The Republicans say your policies are to blame. Are they? We're so excited that the NBC 15 Share Your Holidays campaign is now officially underway.
But the thing he's most proud of,
I can't think of anything more positive than Share Your Holidays.
helping to raise millions of meals,
2 million meals for the hungry.
carrying on Mike's legacy
That you raised.
through Share Your Holidays.
This is the feel-good day and campaign of the year. I think we can all only hope that while we're alive, we make the world a little better place. That's so sweet.
Ultimately receiving the Be Like Mike Award for his efforts.
My mother's going to be very surprised because I'm speechless.
As I reflect on my career, I am thankful for so many people.
Guys, ready? Here we go!
And for 40 years, we can't thank you enough. Thank you, John, for all the memories.
Please welcome 2024 Silver Circle inductee, John Stoflet.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. It's tough to go last. I hope you've been as inspired by all these stories as I have. My only regret is that I didn't get a chance to work with all the rest of you. You're just incredibly talented. Although, Tom, I did watch you when I was in high school as an anchor. And I can't believe I'm sharing this honor with you and all the rest of this group. This is really a remarkable thing. And, you guys all know, here's Johnny, right? You remember that? And that's what I looked forward to every night when I was a middle schooler watching a little black and white television, because Johnny Carson was my hero. Johnny was, I thought, God, it's such a cool job. You go on TV and people wait to tune in to you every night, and you have interesting guests on, like Rodney Dangerfield, who didn't get no respect, And I thought, wouldn't it be great to be the next Johnny Carson? And wouldn't you know, Jay Leno would beat me to that. But meantime, I got to the University of Wisconsin. This is a great school too, but so is ours. And I got there, and I got to UW-Madison, and there's this huge course book back then. It wasn't online, of course, like a phone book. And I started looking through it and thought, broadcast journalism, that's pretty cool. And with my entrance scores on the math exam, I think journalism was the perfect match for me. Seriously, I was in Math 99 my freshman year with the football team. I really was. So my love for reporting grew at the Badger Herald, where I also met two dear lifelong friends, Tom and Mark. And this is going to be more than once. Thanks, Nick, for the, yes. Mark Knepper and Tom Kircher. And there was this journalism school professor named Jim Hoyt who saw something in me. And got my first job in radio because of this guy. And the news director said, if Jim Hoyt is recommending you, that's all I need to know. And a year later, Professor Hoyt recommended me when WKOW needed a morning cut-in anchor for $12,000 a year. Jim said, I know just the guy. And my radio news director, as I was leaving, said, I knew you were going to be one of those TV guys. And I was, for the next 40 years, a TV guy. Started out typing on 5-part paper on an IBM Selectric with two people smoking furiously on either side of me. And I thought, this is great. It was cool. My TV career was underway at WKOW, where I had more misses than hits over the 5.5 years there, but it led to 16 years at King 5 Seattle, which included freelance gigs with the Nat Geo Channel and HGTV. Did you know there was a log home living? You're missing out if you didn't. So I got to travel all over the world for 16 years, all 7 continents. And when I did that, it became so obvious that Dorothy was right. There was no place like home. And thank God, WMTV brought me home in 2005 to be evening anchor, where I could be part of a community and part of a team that was trusted and that became dear friends. Jeremy, Maria, Katie, Lee, Doogie, Jamie, Jess. All of you are just dear, dear friends. It means so much to have you here. And Lee, my sidekick from the beginning in 2005, 6, we know each other like a book. So thank you also for that beautiful video. I'll always treasure our time together, the Channel 15 folks. And Jess, my manager, and Don, and all the other managers along the way who've supported me and believed in me and let me keep a job. It doesn't always happen in this business. There may be some of you in the room that know that, and I've just been lucky to have that support. But coming home especially gave me more time to be with my son, Taylor, my daughter, Kaya. And they and their mom, Beth, deserve an award for putting up with my crazy schedule over the years. And now my wife, Anna, is always there on the tough days of broadcasting. There was this thing called the pandemic, if you've forgotten. And for those of you working during it, you know how hard it was. And she's always been there for me. And my sisters, Bonnie and Nancy, you guys have literally been there from the beginning. So it means so much to have you here today. And I have to mention my late mom and dad. My first radio broadcast in 1982, they drove from Menasha to Ripon so they could pick up the WIBA AM signal and hear their son do the news. And I think they were even more excited than I was when I won my first Emmy. I just want to remind all of you as broadcast journalists, we've got this real privilege of serving our communities, and the pandemic proved just how critical our role is, and it can be hard to remind yourself sometimes during the challenging days, but what we do is a gift, and I encourage you to embrace it. It really is. So as I wrap up this Silver Circle speech, a full circle moment, in 1992, NBC invited me to come down to LA and spend the day profiling the replacement for Johnny Carson. Yes, so there I was with Jay Leno. With Jay, as he was about to go out and do his monologue, he turned to us and said, "Well, fellas, I got to go to work." And I was like, wow. I wasn't the next Carson, but this Johnny wouldn't change a thing about my life and career. So I want to thank Natus, Mark, everyone here. This is really an honor to share with this class the honor of the Silver Circle. And to all my talented and supportive colleagues, honestly, from the CEO to the custodian, without all of you, it wouldn't have happened, and it's been such an honor to be a part of your team. I only joined the Silver Circle because of you, my circle of colleagues, my circle of family, my circle of friends. Thank you.
Now, a message from the Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer of the Radio Television Digital News Association, Dan Shelley.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Shelley, President and CEO of the Radio Television Digital News Association, the world's largest professional association devoted to broadcast and digital journalists. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person today, but I'm proud to be celebrating outstanding Wisconsin broadcasters. As a former Wisconsin broadcast journalist, a member of the Milwaukee Press Club Hall of Fame, and a past news director at WTMJ in Milwaukee. But today is about your first ever Gold Circle and 5 Silver Circle honorees. Each in their own way has spent his or her career demonstrating the very best in broadcasting and broadcast journalism. Everett, wow. Such well-deserved recognition. Congratulations, too, to Tom, Dave, Susan, John, and Nick, who, by the way, I tried to hire once, but he turned me down. When I travel the world preaching the gospel of how important responsible journalism is to the principles of self-governance and freedom, I often reach back in my mind to my Wisconsin roots to be reminded of how important what broadcasters and broadcast journalists do each and every day. Wisconsin is a beautiful and unique place in so many ways. From Superior to Kenosha, from Marinette to Platteville, and everywhere in between, broadcasters toil every day to help create a more informed and educated society. And today's honorees are among the best of the best at doing so in a state I love so very much. Beyond that, I urge all of you to follow your honorees' lead and strive consistently to serve your communities through providing valuable news, information, and entertainment, and through public service projects that feed the hungry, house the unsheltered, and meet the needs of other benevolent causes. You are the voices and the images that reflect your cities and towns. You're the voices and images that truly make a positive impact. Everett and Tom and Dave and Susan and John and Nick have shown you the way. I urge you to follow it post haste. Enjoy this celebration, then get back to work. Thanks so much.
We hope you have found this afternoon to be as inspiring and uplifting as as any that you've ever had. Can we get one more round of applause for all of our inductees today? Before we call it a day, we want to recognize our partners at MUTV for their production and live streaming expertise. You will be able to see and share, yes, applause for them. You'll be able to see and share the entire program once it's posted on the Chicago Emmy Online website. You've also heard this name earlier today, Rebecca Cowing. We want to do a special thank you to her. She's the Executive Director and Administrator of the Chicago Midwest chapter of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. Rebecca's dedication makes these events possible, and we are grateful for all that she's done. Rebecca unfortunately fell ill at the latter half of this week, so I do want to give a special shout out to Denise Calloway, who stepped in to be boots on the ground here and did a lot of the work that Rebecca laid the groundwork for. So thank you, Denise, as well. Also, a shout out to Don Hertz of Marquette for spending long hours producing all of our animations and videos for today's presentation, as well as to Steve Krause for his engineering genius. Thank you, gentlemen. A shout out as well to the members of the Silver Circle Selection Committee. Most of all, thank you for coming and for sharing in this special day for our honorees. Your support means so much to them, and I hope you felt that through all of the speeches. Before we say goodnight, goodbye, good afternoon, there is a display of little flowers there, and they're available for you to take if you would like, but all we ask is that you make a donation to the Natus Foundation. You'll find the URL to do that in your program right here. It's near the end of the program. So if you could please do that, we would appreciate it very much. And last but not least, if you believe that you or someone you work with is deserving of this honor, be sure to submit the nomination. Forms are always available on the Chicago Natus website, chicagoemmyonline.org. And one more invitation, be sure to join us next February 2nd, a Super but not Super Bowl Sunday, as we induct the class of 2025. Good day.
Thank you for attending the Wisconsin Gold and Silver Circle Honors Ceremony. If you would like to nominate an honoree, please visit the Silver Circle section of our website, chicagoemmyonline.org. And if you would like to donate to the Academy Scholarship Fund, go to tinyurl.com/NatusGive. Safe travels, and we hope to see you again next year.